I'm 104 years old. My hands are thin now, almost translucent, like the skin forgot how to stay. I wake up before the sun, whether I want to or not, and I lie there listening to the quiet. The kind of quiet that only comes when most of the people who knew you are already gone. I don't say that with drama. It's just the truth of it. When you live this long, silence becomes a companion, an honest one. I'm talking now because I don't have many chances left to talk this way. People still speak to me, of course, but it's different. They speak gently, slowly, like I might break. They ask me if I'm comfortable. They tell me what day it is. They remind me to eat. No one asks me what I regret. No one asks me what stayed with me all these years. Maybe they're afraid of the answers. Maybe I was too. There's a promise I made once that followed me my whole life, even when I pretended it didn't. It's strange how something can sit quietly inside you for decades, not screaming, not demanding attention, just waiting until your body slows down enough that you can't outrun it anymore. I thought of it again this winter. Someone opened a window in this building, just for a moment, and the cold came in sharp and clean. It felt exactly like the air outside a hospital in 1961. That was the year. I remember because it was the year my hair first started turning gray at the temples, and the year I told myself I was finally grown, finally steady, finally someone others could lean on. I was 40. I had a husband, a small house, 2 children who needed constant watching, and a life that felt full in the way busy lives always do. Not happy, exactly, just occupied. There's a difference, but I didn't know that yet. The hospital was St. Mary's, a brick building with narrow windows and floors that echoed when you walked too fast. My older sister, Eleanor, was inside. She had always been the strong one, the one who fixed things, who remembered birthdays, who showed up early and stayed late. When we were girls, she used to braid my hair before school and tell me to stand still, because beauty took patience. I believed her. She'd been sick for a while, but not in a way that made people panic. Not at first. It was the kind of sickness that allowed postponement, the dangerous kind, the kind that lets everyone say, "We'll see how it goes." I remember the door to her hospital room more clearly than I remember my wedding day. The handle was cold, the paint was chipped near the edge. I remember thinking it needed fixing, which tells you exactly the kind of person I was, always noticing the wrong things. My husband stood a few steps behind me. He was good in emergencies, but impatient with waiting. He kept glancing at his watch like time was something you could bargain with. I didn't blame him. I did the same thing. Eleanor was awake when we went in. She looked smaller, but her eyes were still sharp. She smiled when she saw me, and I felt a rush of relief that surprised me. I hadn't realized how braced I'd been. We talked about ordinary things at first. The children, the neighbors, a woman from church who had dyed her hair too dark. We laughed quietly, like we were afraid to disturb something fragile. But then Eleanor reached for my hand. Her hand felt lighter than it should have. That stays with you. You expect weight from people you love. When it's gone, you notice. She looked at me and said, "Promise me something." I remember feeling a flicker of irritation, which still shames me. I was tired. I had driven all day. I wanted to get home before dark. Promises felt like extra weight I didn't have room for. "What?" I asked, trying to sound gentle. "Promise me you won't let things drift. Promise me you won't keep meaning to come and never arriving." I opened my mouth to reassure her without committing, the way I always did, but she kept looking at me. She wasn't accusing, she wasn't dramatic, she was calm in a way that made it impossible to dodge. "I know you," she said. "You get busy. You think everyone understands. You think there will be time." I laughed softly. "Of course there will be," I said. "You're not going anywhere." She didn't smile at that. She just squeezed my hand. "Promise anyway." I promised. I said it easily, confidently. I told her I'd come every week. I told her I wouldn't disappear into my life and forget her at the edges. I told her she mattered to me. All true things, at least in that moment. I repeated it at the door when we left. She asked again, like she needed to hear it outside the room, where it could survive the hallway and the stairs and the drive home. I put my hand on the door frame and said, "I promise." I believed myself. Eleanor did come home. For a while, everything felt fine. I visited, I brought soup, I sat at her kitchen table and listened to her complain about the dust and the mail and the way people spoke too quickly these days. It felt normal again, safe, like we'd passed something and could relax. And then life resumed its steady push. My children needed rides, my husband worked late, the house always needed cleaning, there was always something cooking, something folding, something waiting. I started skipping a visit here and there. I told myself Eleanor understood. She always had before. She never scolded me. That made it easier. When I called, she sounded pleased just to hear my voice. When I didn't, she didn't make me feel guilty. She would say, "You're busy," like it was a kindness she was offering me. Weeks turned into months quietly. No argument, no fight, just absence stretched thin. I meant to go. I always meant to go. I thought intention counted more than it does. The last time Eleanor wrote to me, the letter was short. Her handwriting had changed. It slanted more, like her hand got tired halfway through words. She wrote, "Some days are harder now, but I'm still here." I folded the letter and put it in my purse, planning to answer that night. I didn't. Dinner ran late. One of the children was upset about something small. I sat down afterward and let myself rest. Rest turns into forgetting faster than you think. Eleanor went back into the hospital that fall. I didn't know it right away. A neighbor called, not her. That should have told me something, but I didn't let it. I planned to go the next morning. I always planned for the next morning. That morning came with rain and errands and excuses. By the time I arrived, it was late afternoon. The nurse at the desk recognized Eleanor's name too quickly. She said, "I'm sorry," and I knew before she finished the sentence. Eleanor died that morning, alone except for people who didn't know her the way I did, people who didn't know she hummed when she was nervous, people who didn't know she hated being fussed over. I stood in the hallway for a long time before going into the room. I kept seeing that door frame from years before, my hand on it, my voice saying a promise like it was solid, like it would last. At the funeral, people told me how close we were. They told me how lucky Eleanor was to have a sister like me. I nodded. I accepted their words. It felt wrong to correct them. Life didn't stop after that. It rarely does. I went on. I raised my children. I buried my husband decades later. I watched the world change and told myself I was keeping up. I stayed busy. I stayed distracted. I stayed safe from sitting too long with my thoughts. But the promise followed me. It followed me when I delayed phone calls, when I said soon instead of now, when I assumed people knew how I felt without me showing it. It followed me when I told myself love didn't need proof if it was sincere. Now I'm 104, and sincerity feels like a thin excuse. Most of the people I could have made things right with are gone. That's the cruel part of time. It removes the audience just when you're ready to speak honestly. I think about Eleanor often now. I wonder if she felt forgotten. I wonder if she made excuses for me the way I made excuses for myself. I wonder if my promise gave her comfort, or if it just made the waiting heavier. I'll never know. That's what doesn't soften, no matter how old you get. If you're listening to this, I won't tell you what to do. I only know what happened to me. I trusted that time would be patient. I trusted that relationships could survive neglect if there was love underneath. I trusted my intentions more than my actions. Time doesn't care about intention. I don't have many mornings left. I can feel that. My body tells me in quiet ways. When I close my eyes now, I still see that hospital door. I still hear my own voice promising something I didn't protect. There isn't a neat ending to that. There's just the truth of it sitting here with me at 104, finally still enough to listen.